Okay, it's 10:27. We were set to go at 10 o'clock. Starting about 9:30 was when I anticipated taking up the matters so that we could proceed into sentencing at 10. I asked the jury to return at 10. I was approached by attorneys at that time saying that if I could give them additional time, potentially there might be some agreement that could be reached. I think the agreement has been reached with a certain degree of reluctance, but nevertheless, the parties have indicated to me that they're in agreement. Who wants to announce the agreement?
I will, Your Honor.
Okay.
I probably need the papers back.
All right.
Make sure I get the consecutive and concurrent.
Generically, the agreement is they're agreeing to sentence. The 3 murder counts would be merged in count 8. The agreement on sentence with the parties would be life without the possibility of parole. The rape counts would be merged for a 25-year consecutive sentence at 100%. The kidnapping counts would be merged for a 25-year consecutive at 100%. Now that generically is the agreement, is it not?
It is.
Okay.
In a nutshell, it would be life without the possibility of parole plus 50 years at 100% to run consecutively. So in case number 17, CR 10, count 1, the agreed upon sentence is murder and perpetration of kidnapping, life without the possibility of parole. Count 2, on the indicted offense of especially aggravated kidnapping, the agreed upon sentence is 25 years at 100% to run consecutively to all murder cases. Count 3, especially aggravated kidnapping, count 3, same sentence, 25 years at 100% to be merged with the previous count of especially aggravated, to be merged with the, count 2, especially aggravated kidnapping. Count 4, murder and the perpetration of rape. The agreed upon sentence is life without the possibility of parole to be merged with murder of the perpetration of kidnapping, count 1. Count 5, aggravated rape. The agreed upon sentence is 25 years at 100% to run consecutively to count 1 and count 8. Count 6, aggravated rape. The agreed upon sentence is 25 years. That will be merged with the other alternative theory of aggravated rape and will run consecutively to count 1, 8, and 2. Count 7, aggravated rape. Again, the agreed upon sentence is 25 years at 100%. That will run consecutively to count 1, 8, and 2, and will merge with the other counts of aggravated rape. Count 8, murder, first degree, premeditated. The agreed upon sentence is life without the possibility of parole, and as previously announced by the court, it will be merged with the other felony murders, but the kidnapping, the especially aggravated kidnapping and the aggravated rape will run consecutively. May I approach?
You may. Okay, Mr. Simmons, as I understand and have understood, essentially you were designated by the defense team as the attorney that would handle the sentencing issues or that phase of the trial. As has been announced with the court and further announced by the District Attorney General, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. The agreement is life plus 50 years.
All right.
Life without parole plus 50.
I told you that I would be addressing your client as to voluntariness. I want you to stand, Mr. Adams. Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
You've been present during this announcement. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Are you agreeing to this freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Anybody put undue pressure on you to force you to agree to this against your wishes?
No, sir.
Is this what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
All right. Court accepts the agreement. Also, as part of this agreement, I'm going to bring the jury in, all 15, and then the state, as part of this agreement, going to offer the victim's mother in the nature of victim impact. I don't know that it's pure victim impact, but it's in the nature of that, and that was part of the agreement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Ready to bring the jury in? We'll need those 3 alternates as well, okay? You folks know how I am about time. The last 30 minutes while you've been waiting, I think we have utilized the time wisely. Will it hurt anyone's feelings if you don't get to spend the rest of the day and potentially part of tomorrow with me? I don't think it would hurt anybody's feelings. I will tell you the parties have reached an agreement as to sentencing. The sentencing is as follows. The defendant will be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole on the murder counts. As to the other counts, there will be a 50-year consecutive sentence. That means in addition to the life without parole, there will be 50 years, it's 25 on 2 of them, legal, they're merged, but 25 on 2 of the counts for result of 50 years, and that's at 100% classification. Part of this agreement, which I will tell you has been reached maybe with some reluctance, but I think it certainly works to your benefit because it'd be a very difficult issue. You folks, I can't thank you enough for how hard you've worked, the work that you've done. I've had many people comment about how dedicated the jury was, how alert and paying attention to the evidence. You folks have been excellent. Part of this agreement is the state will be allowed to call Miss Karen Bobo as far as, generally it's called victim impact. That was to be done at your presence, in your presence. So you may call the witness at this time.
Yeah.
Ms. Bobo, you were already placed under oath. You understand that?
Yes, sir. The judge just told the jury that this agreement to life without parole plus 50 years was done with some reluctance. Is it fair to say that it's something that you have thought about and prayed about with your family and the people that you love?
Yes, ma'am.
Had we gone forward, there would have been an opportunity for you to have addressed the jury in the sentencing hearing in what's called victim impact. So I want you to take a few minutes. This is your opportunity to tell them about Holly, because all they know right now is who she belonged to, who she promised herself to, and what her career goals are. But there's more than that, right?
There's much more about Holly that you should know. And all the people that I've ever been around, experienced, had the opportunity to know, she was the sweetest soul I've ever known in my life. A kindness and a love for people that many people just can't even imagine. From an early age in life, I could see that in her. I could see the love and care that she had for people. She appreciated the small things in life. We might be riding down the road and she would just look over at me and say, "Mom, have you ever thought about all the beautiful things that God made in this world? The trees, just when seasons change, she would notice those things." She also, from an early age, had a passion for helping people. If there was a new student that came to school, she would be the first one to welcome them and make them feel a part of their class. Many times she was voted most favorite in her class, not because of her beautifulness on the outside, but on the inside. There's just so many things about Holly that, even though she was beautiful, her senior year when she was elected most beautiful, most talented, she was like, heck, I wanted to get Titus ride. That was her car, In her Facebook post where she described herself, "I'm a country girl and I wouldn't want to be any other way. I love God and I'm a Christian. I love Drew Scott with my whole heart and always will." When he gave her that promise ring on Christmas, they started making plans for their future. She asked Dana and I, could they live beside us? All of those things were taken from her, from us. Part of her reason in wanting to, besides help others and become a nurse, was to take care of her grandparents when they got old. And when she was a child and they used to take her in a store, they'd say, pick out something, and she'd look at them and say, doesn't that cost too much? Holly wasn't materialistic at all. When she went in a store, she'd go straight to the clearance rack because that's what I taught her. Started working at a very young age, cleaning, making her own money because we were just an average, hard-working family. She was raised in a Christian home filled with lots of love and laughter. There'll be none of that anymore for all of us because there's a piece of us that will always be missing. When we sat down to Sunday dinners, which was one of her favorite things to do, there's one of us missing.
Can you tell them some of the things that you described to me regarding the impact, the actual impact that her loss has had on you and Dana and her grandparents and the rest of your friends and family?
I've had to watch my parents in their what's supposed to be called golden years be so sad every day. Not a morning since this has happened have we not woken up with Holly being the first thing on our mind when we wake up and the last thing on our mind when we go to sleep. Last night, I saw my husband smile for the first time in 6.5 years.
What about you?
I didn't only lose my daughter, I lost my best friend. We rode to school together every day.
Was it your idea or hers?
It was her idea. And then when she got old enough to get her driver's license, she didn't just kick me out. She was like, Mom, let's ride together. And then she, instead of me dropping her off at school and picking her up, she dropped me off and picked me up.
What changed in Dana?
I'm sorry.
What's the change you've seen in Dana?
Dana changed from one of the strongest men I've ever known to one of the weakest. For 3 years, almost 3 years, the only thing that kept us going was hope. And then when all that hope was lost, what kept us going was we had to find our daughter's remains. And then when that happened, then we began still on that long, hard road that we've been walking on for over 6.5 years. But it changed to getting justice for our daughter. And I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for making the right decision and helping us to know that we do have justice for our daughter.
Who is that a picture of?
That's Holly and myself going shopping one day, which if she ever did go shopping, which she hated to do, we would go together, or sometimes she would just say, Mom, just pick out something. You know what I like, and it'll be okay.
How close in going to Monster?
Just a few weeks before.
And there's one more picture.
That's Holly and her nursing student classmates just a few days before. She was hoping to fulfill her dream of becoming a nurse. But we all know that didn't happen.
Is there something that you want to say to Zachary?
First of all, I would like for you to know that this decision that was made this morning had absolutely nothing to do with that animal. It had to do with the future of our family. If there can ever be any more joy in our family, to maybe give us an opportunity to find at least a little joy. But I would like for Mr. Adams to look at me when I speak to him. I know that my daughter fought hard for her life. Can you back up just a little bit so he can look at me? And I know that she begged for her life because my daughter loved and enjoyed life. But you chose to take that from her. And you have shown absolutely, look at me please, you have shown absolutely no remorse for anything that you have done. Unless there's something else that you want to share. I would like to say that I appreciate each and every one of you that have stood beside us, picked us up, physically taken care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. And our church family, who's been with us all the way. And then I want to thank this prosecuting team that once we got together, I had full confidence in you, and I still do. I would like to thank the law enforcement who's been with us all the way, on the good and the bad days. But we finally got there. It took 6.5 long years, but we finally got there. And I will never forget all the help that all of you have given us. Thank you.
I know you folks are tired of listening. I don't blame you. I'm going to discharge you at this time. And here's some instructions. First of all, I told you I can't safeguard your name. But I also told you that I will protect you. If someone wishes to discuss the case with you, that's your option. If you don't want to, you're not required to. If someone persists in wanting to get you to discuss this case and you don't want to, you get word to the clerk's office or the sheriff, and I promise you I can take care of that, okay? When I discharge you, I want you to go to the jury room. You can take what you want from those notebooks. Anything you want to take from those notebooks, you may do so. If you've got personal notes, if you want to take those, fine. If you leave them in there, they'll go, this lady over here will run them through a shredder. If you want to take them with you to assure your privacy, you're free to do that. If you want to take portions of the charge or the charge, you can do that. You might have written on it or anything, just take it out of the notebook. I do reuse the notebooks. Matter of fact, how many sets we got? Okay, 5. I just wanted her to keep 3 because sometimes I'll be trying cases back to back to back. Most cases I don't do 12 days like we have on this. This is the longest case in my history. Probably the most complex. And as I said, I can't commend you folks strongly enough. When you file out, go to the jury room. Then you get what you want to from that. Is Miss Peck in here? She's probably in the press room. She will come up there. If any of you want to give interviews to the press, you can do so if you want to. But she will probably give you some guidelines, not trying to limit what you say, but make sure you don't say anything that might embarrass other jurors or anything like that. If you don't wish to do that, that's fine. Your privacy will be protected. You might again be contacted in the future. I had another very high-profile case. The attorneys on both sides said I could disclose names, and those people were contacted by 2020 or one of the news programs. It might have been Dateline, I don't remember. And about half of them were willing to discuss. Some of them really didn't want to. They were respected in their decision. So everybody understand that? But go first to the jury room, and I think Ms. Peck will join you up there and probably be with you if you wish to lend yourself to an interview. And like I say, you might be contacted further down the road. That's up to you. In other words, if you want to talk, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Do we have questions? I can't thank you folks enough from the bottom of my heart. This is above and beyond the call of civic duty. And I will tell you, if your name comes up on down the road, you just mentioned that you served on this case, and the clerk We'll excuse you on that one if you want to. Okay. You folks got any questions? I know a lot of your families. Your little boy played baseball with my youngest little boy. I've known your daddy for 1,000 years. And know you at the bank. I'll try not to come up to you, put you into a cold sweat if you see me before long. But I know that I know a lot of you, but I really appreciate what you've done here. So if you would stand, the jury can. When I said his son played baseball with mine, it wasn't my son. I'm on the next generation. I'm going to have these redone. Believe it or not, I picked up some things on it. But I think it's better if something can be added. Probably white out, but it has to do with the counties and so forth. Anything else prior to being dismissed? All right.
The date, the reset date?
November 14th, we've got to check with 2 other attorneys, but it looks like that at 2 p.m. Okay? And that's status as to the other 2 defendants. This is here. It's all moved here. Be in this courtroom. Okay.